So another week, another tent. And this time I've actually gone and bought a tent from Decathlon, which is a big outdoor retailer in the UK, I presume in Europe, because it's a French company. Not so sure about America, but who knows? Now, I've kept away from Decathlon tents, never really looked at them, never even considered them. And I just happened to be in one of their stores for to buy something else, actually. And this particular tent here, and it's the Decathlon, the brand that makes the tent for them is called Forclaz. And it's an MT500 two-person dome tent, and it's called the MT500 Fresh and Black, which is this branding here. This tent was on sale and reduced down to around about £90 from about £150. So I thought it'd be rude of me not to try it. There was nothing wrong with it. It's never been used, never been out the store. It simply had one of its 3 poles missing, which was a small, short cross pole. Obviously, they've replaced it. Never been out the store. And I got this for around about £50, £60 reduced. And that's the reason I bought it. And in fact, my wife was with me in the store and she caught me buying it. Usually she doesn't know what I'm buying and selling. Well, I don't sell, but anyway, she caught me buying this one. So this is going to be interesting because it's got a lot of features which may interest you. And obviously, given a little bit of a test by me, we'll find out how it stands up. So let's have a little look at it in closer detail. And then I'm going to put the tent up. I've got to the campsite. Beautiful, beautiful afternoon in the Lake District. But I do want to get sorted, get pitched, and there's a pub about 5 minutes walk away. Lovely little tiny country pub. But it serves my favourite beer, which is called Wainwright's. So I'm going for a pint. So what I'll do is, I'll show you the tent, give you a bit of the detail of it. I'm just going to pitch it. So I'm not going to show you a proper erection video of it, but I'll come back to that either later on this evening or tomorrow. So let's have a little look. So here we have our tent. It's, as I've mentioned, it's actually classed as an MT500 Fresh and Black. Two-person dome tent. And what I quite like when I've looked into this, because I didn't expect to buy it, I didn't go out to buy it, but what I like is the fact there's a 5-year warranty on this tent. 5 years. Also, the other thing I didn't realise is that most of their stores have repair facilities in store. So they're actually, got any problems with them, and they can do some repairs within the store itself. And they carry quite a large stock of spares, things like poles. In case you break a pole, you might be able to get one just simply by walking in the store and speaking to them. So that's a good thing. It's supposed to be a quick erection tent. Now, I don't know until I've erected it, and then you need to erect it a few times before you actually get to a point you can say you can erect the tent quickly. Yeah. It's actually the tent for its price. I mean, it's normally retails around about £150, but for its price, it actually has a lot of features. And I'll go through the features it's got as we get into putting the tent up and looking at it further. But it has got a lot of features for what I consider to be a fairly budget price. 2 people. It has 2 doors, 2 vestibules. So I think we should have a look at it, really. So what we've got is a bag, which is a compression bag. So you've got these straps on top of the bag, and they allow you to compress the bag down to keep it nice and tight. The overall package of this, as it stands there, is just over 3 kilogram. Actually, I weighed it at 3.1 kilogram, which is a bit heavier than some of my lighter weight, say 1-2-person tents, but you actually end up with a lot more features in this tent and that adds weight to the tent. So you just have to decide what you want, whether you want light, ultra light, or whether you want something that's got more features. And the pack size is 39 centimeters in length, 17 centimeters by 17 centimeters. So it's quite a decent pack size. And as I've mentioned to you, that compresses down as well. Now, what I like about the bag is taking the compression straps off. You've got the single zip in the center, and that opens up to allow you to access your tent and just pull your tent out. And therefore also, when you're putting the tent away, it'll go away quickly by just stuffing it into the bag and cinching it down. The tent is a pitch outer and inner together, and it comes attached. So this tent is ready to go from the off. It's got a little strap just to hold it together. And then if we roll the tent out, what we have is one bag. Now I'm just going to put the tent to one side for a second. So we have the one bag, which has everything in, and it's quite a decent quality bag with a elasticated strap, which undoes the end piece. And basically there are two compartments in this bag. One that comes down to about there, and that has your pegs, your guy lines, and the other compartment has your poles in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get these out now. So you have 4 guy lines. And the guy lines are good quality. They're nice and firm, and they're grippy. Pretty standard locks. Guy lines are good. Nice quality guy lines. Yes, that bag's quite intriguing really, because I've never come across a single bag that has 2 compartments. So there's your one compartment for the poles, and there's your other compartment for the pegs. So we've emptied the bag now, and just the first thing to say is you've got a pole repair kit. So that's a really added bonus. You see, all things like that all add to the weight of the actual overall package. But of course, it gives you the means to repair a pole if you do break one. So we have 12 aluminium pegs, and it's just these shepherd's hook type pegs. Pretty standard. Same as you find a lot of reasonable sort of budget quality tents. And they look okay, they look fine. They're not anodized, and I believe that's to do with being a little bit more environmentally friendly in the process of making them. And then we have 3 poles. Basically, the first one is a short pole, and these are 7001 aluminium. The diameter of the pole is 8.5 millimeter. And they fit together quite nicely. They have these rounded ends to save from tearing, ripping, just to make things a little bit easier. Now that pole is a gold pole and isn't the original colour for this particular tent. The original colour would be, like the 2 larger poles, this sort of gunmetal-y grey colour. So that was a replacement pole for the one that was missing. And then we have 2 poles which are the same length. Yeah, so nice quality. These 2 larger poles are for the sleeves, and you can put them in either sleeve, and they cross over one another to form the dome. The actual diameter of these crossover poles is slightly thicker at 9.5 millimeter. So they're slightly thicker than the cross pole, which is only a short cross pole. it's all attached, inner and outer. And this is the fly sheet. Everything is tape seamed. The outer fly sheet is a 75 denier polyester polyurethane coated and water repellent on the inside of the fly to keep the rain out. Now, looking at all the stitching, looking at all the work that's done on the tent, and I have looked through this before opening it up today, everything is sealed very, very nicely. Even the toggles are sealed properly. And that's something that can happen with a lot of tents in the budget range. They don't get sealed properly at this point. So it comes in this light grey material. And again, I understand this is to do with trying to keep to a minimum the processing of the colorization of the tent for environmental reasons. Also, with a light coloured tent in hotter conditions, it's going to reflect a little bit better the heat. So the hydrostatic head is 2000 for this fly sheet. It's also got sun protection. So it's got UPF 50T treatment. If that means anything to you, it sounds good to me. So this is the inner of the tent, and it's a P66 denier polyester, breathable polyester, and that accounts for quite a large part of the inner of the tent, with some mesh parts, as you can see there. But I'll get to see that better when we've got the tent erected. The floor, so the floor of the tent, it has a bathtub, and the floor is a P75 denier ground sheet, and the hydrostatic head on that is 5000. So you got 5000 for the floor of the inner, and you got 2000. Now, the zips are really quite nice quality zips, to be honest. Again, I've had a look at them. The only branding I can see on them is SBS, so not something I've heard of, but in all honesty, they do work really well. So the only other thing to say at the moment about the tent, and this is information all given by Decathlon, is that it's been wind tested to the equivalent of, well, it's to 70 kilometers an hour, and they say force 8, which is 43.5 miles per hour wind, and that's been independently certified and tested. However, that is at ground level, so I don't know how this tent would stand up in high winds. On the basis of the information, it should do okay, but we can only test that when we do get some high winds at some future point, and it isn't going to be on this trip because it's lovely and warm and still and calm. So guys, that's basically the spec of the tent, and it's information just gleaned from Decathlon themselves. I think it's time to get the tent up, and we'll have a little look at it either later on, or we'll look at it tomorrow. Probably tomorrow after I've had a night's sleep in it. So thanks for watching. I'll get this tent up, and then I'll come back to you when I've got more to say about it. So guys, I've had an overnight in the tent now, and actually really good sleep. There's lots of little features I need to show you by showing you inside the tent and showing you around the outside of the tent. You've got the spec of it already. It's an odd looking tent. It really is. I think it's a little bit of an oddity. It's French made, or at least it's a French company, and I guess their cars are a little bit on the odd side, but very usable. And this tent is very much the same. It's an odd tent. It's a bizarre looking tent. It looks like it's full of just style, but actually it's got a lot of substance to it as well. So let's have a little look around the outside and then the inside. Right guys, so let's have a walk around this tent. So I've given you the information about it. It's a 2-person dome tent. It has crossover poles, 2 crossover poles, and it has 1 short pole, as you can see in the video there, that goes over the top. Now that just stretches the tent out at the head end to give you a little bit more headroom. Now I've mentioned that I think it's an odd looking tent. Quite nice really, but it's odd. It's just unusual. And I had not thought much about looking at these tents at Decathlon. And it's only because I got a chance of this one at a really bargain price that I bought one. So the tent has got the 4 guy lines, but attached in 2 places on the tent. You can see 3/4 of the way up the tent and 1/4 way up the tent, and that comes back to a ring and then with your guy line attached out. Now the quite useful thing about this is that the guy line at the tent end stays attached. So let me just loosen that off. And all you do is, which is one-handed never good, remove the guy line. And it's as simple as that. Now, I didn't really need to guy this tent out last night because it was very still, very nice conditions, but I wanted to see how it guyed out. And obviously once I've got it guyed out, I might as well leave it guyed out. So you can see the yellow patch there on the tent, and that's the entry point for the pole to go through the sleeve. And the sleeve itself is very, very low profile. If you can just see it at that angle, if I catch it. So it's very low profile sleeve, but that'll cut down on wind noise when it is windy. And you have two long poles, which you've probably seen in the video when I first put the tent up. They both go through from this end of the tent, and at the other side of the tent, they're in a captive sleeve. So you just have to push them through. Now, I've seen some reports that this on some of these tents can be difficult to do. I had no difficulty. You just have to feed the pole through carefully, make sure it's seated in the other end, it's not got twisted, and it's gone all the way through, and then it'll be very easy to pop the end of this pole into that little plastic receiver there. So the pole sits in that plastic. Very easy to do. Just take your time and make sure everything's sitting right at the other side. So the other thing whilst we're at this end is you've got these little pieces of material that shoot out from the tent, and they're actually guyed out as well. So if you just have a little look, you can see where I've actually guyed with the orange guy line, and that is to allow you to vent the tent, which I'll actually show you from inside better than I can show you here. So you've got a vestibule on either side and door on either side. the 4 guy lines that I've mentioned, one on each, well, actually 2 on each corner, coming from a twin to a single guy line. So the door is indicated where the red patch is, or maroon patch I should say. And both doors open exactly the same. Some really nice quality control on this tent. So your cross pole fits through a little sleeve on the top. And is clipped on at either end and fits into one of those little plastic receivers there. Again, they're really easy to do. So you can see both sides and both ends are exactly the same. So as we look at the door, above the door where the cross pole fits into both sides, you can see that it tensions the tent out here, and it gives you a little bit of an overhang along the entire side of the tent, and that's on both sides. So that overhang, I think, is going to give you a degree of weather protection, because the water is going to come down off that roof and scoot down either side and take it away from your actual door. Now, the zip's behind this flap here, and the other feature, which is quite useful, and I've got this on the MSR tent, is there's like a rain gutter. So if you see there, that allows for the rain, if it does get onto here, which it will do, and condensation to drip down there and off and not into your tent. Now, both these doors vent as well as open, and to vent them, you've got a zip puller at the top here, and you just pull that down as far as you want it, and that will give you some ventilation in hotter weather. And if you notice, the ring pulls, really cleverly thought out, actually shaped quite nicely for your finger just to get into there and be comfortable when you're pulling that up. So that comes up in one action. So this maroon colour here just indicates where your door is and where your zip is to open the door, just down in this corner here. You have a bit of Velcro just at the bottom there, which holds things in place, and seem to do so well. The zips, I can't really see a branding on the zips, but they do seem to work very well. Now, it's a one finger action, but unusually for this tent, it's a real weird one, is that it pulls the tent up almost still attached to there, this bottom part, and that would normally be dragging along the ground, and if it's really wet, muddy, that'd be getting really filthy wet, as it does with other tents that I've got. So with this design, they've designed that so that when you pull the zipper up, it keeps it from dragging along the ground. And there you can see in one action, it doesn't touch the ground at all. Brilliant little feature, that. And it's like I said to you, this tent is loaded with features. And you've got to consider that with a 5-year warranty, you might be a little bit concerned about whether that'll hold up, whether it'll work, continue working. But you have 5 years of warranty with this tent. So once you've pulled the zipper up to the top, all we're going to do now is just, like you would do with any traditional tent, just roll it back. One toggle, and that's held in position, as you can see in the image. Now, clearly from this angle you can see the blackout material which I've talked about, and it is truly blackout when you get in the tent. Bit difficult to film that, but trust me, it is a proper blackout tent, and I've had previous tents that have had blackout material, and this is very, very good. Once again, all the zippers, both outer and inner, have got these little pulls on, and it's like soft plastic, so it fits into your finger perfectly, and that goes round. It's a D-shaped door, and it goes round in one movement. So guys, we're just approaching and going in through the door that you've just seen, and you can see the door on the other side there, and if I get in completely, and shut the door, let's have a look and see how dark it is. Now you can see light there, but it's because the camera is picking up on the light that's available. Actually, that's good to show you the mesh panel, and that's at both sides. It's duplicated, so it's solid material, breathable, with mesh panel at both ends, and a mesh panel at the top of the door with solid down below. Now actually what I need to do is shut the outer door, and then it will go darker, but remember the camera will pick up any light it can, so the naked eye it looks darker than it actually is with the camera. So if I move around in the dark, you can see, and it's really nice outside, sun shining, and you can see where you get your darkness. So we've got the door open again now, and actually quite usefully you can see the sleep mat, which is the Trekology UL 80. But with that mat in place, you can see there's room for 2 mats, but that's all. You get 2 mats and nothing else either side, but your vestibules are quite decent. You can see here on this vestibule at my side here, you can see this vestibule here has got loads of gear in there. That's all cooking gear, and there's a crash bar bag in there. And the other side I'd put my boots, and it still leaves you bags of space just in front of the inner opener. So we're going to open the other door so it lets a lot more light in, and then I can show you some of the features inside the tent. But it'd be useful to show you the door opening from the inside, and as I pull it up you can see how it pulls the bottom up with the zip. Oops. And gradually pulling that clear of the ground to the top, and then that just rolls up and ties back. So remember, everything's duplicated at the moment. Everything we see is duplicated at both ends or both sides. Now this panel here is at my head end, and if you see here, you've just got a zip that you pull across and down, and that leaves another mesh. Now I don't know what the mesh is, it's not specified, but it does look quite fine mesh. So that leaves you with another mesh panel if you want to increase that airflow through the tent. But more than that, you can unzip the mesh part, reach down here to a black strap, and with one swift pull that lifts that rather odd looking side piece about 9 inches, and then you can zip the mesh back up and you've got a lot of air coming through there. So again, brilliant feature. This bit of material here, the solid material, will actually toggle back to it'll roll up and toggle out the way, just like that. I'm not going to do it, but it toggles to there to keep it nice and tidy. Bathtub floor. It's got, I'm referring to this end as the head end. It's got corner pockets on both sides. It's got also little tie points, little tabs there. Now that's in all 4 corners. So in theory you could put some guy line between that to hang things from, maybe hang a lamp from. I've actually just hung that little pen lamp on that one in that corner. But also, and again I'm saying this is the head end, on each side you've got 2 really generous pockets. So you've got the 2 pockets on the ceiling, the 2 pockets at ground level. You've also got a central lamp hook, and this tent gives you a little clothesline here, and that little clothesline is adjustable. And just to show you it works, well, not to just show you it works, I've got a couple of pair of socks airing, and then you can tension that just by pulling the toggle. Brilliant feature for a cheap tent. Just to show you the vestibule at the other side with nothing in, so you see the space that you've got. The tent comes pre-attached, and you can see the little toggles here on an elasticated attachment. So guys, I paid round about that £90 mark for the £150 this tent costs. I think it's outstanding good value. This tent has a 5-year warranty. 5 years. To be honest, if I was only looking to buy one tent, I think this might be the one, because 5-year warranty means at any time during that 5 years, if there's a fault with the materials, if there's a fault with the fixings, as long as it's not abuse, user abuse, they will deal with that warranty claim. Also, I like the idea that they've got in-shop repair centres, and they carry spares in-shop. The tent itself, I've had a night in it now, one night, and it was quite a warm evening, cooled down a bit through the night, but the tent was perfectly fine. I didn't have to have the vents open or anything like that, it wasn't that hot. But this blackout material does work. I've had it with other tents, so it has actually made it very comfortable, especially when the sun's been out and been really hot. So it has been quite nice in the tent. The only thing that I need to do now is test it in really bad weather. Now, that's not going to happen on this trip, even though I've got another few nights camping, because the weather forecast is for it to be stunningly nice. However, I will take this tent out and test it in heavy rain, and I'll report back when I've done that as to how it performs with that rain. hopefully with some wind as well. But the tent seems very stable. I've had a good old pull and push of it and it seems quite stable. But let's see what it does in bad weather. Also, I'll actually film erecting the tent in closer detail than you've seen the brief erection with this video. I'll do a separate video just to show how it actually goes up and how quickly that is and what you need to do, and actually how you make it easy to put this tent up. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm gonna go enjoy that sun briefly, and then I'm off to the pub just for 1 pint, and then I'm just gonna chill out. Thanks again, guys.